the commentary, had said. And I was thinking to myself, what did they actually feel? Or can you imagine it? You'd been following somebody, you'd seen all this, you'd listened to the promise, you thought of who this person was, and all of a sudden, nothing, absolutely nothing. So these two decided that they were off. Where were they going to go? Well, we know they were going to Emmaus. But what was actually happening? They must have felt inside let down. They must have felt that all that he'd said, as we'd read there, was complete and utter rubbish. We'd put all our trust in this man. We'd been with him. We've wasted probably 3 years. We could have been doing a lot more in that time. So I was thinking, I can imagine how they probably felt, because you would probably feel the same way. If you put your trust in somebody completely in all that time and listen to what they said they thought they were going to do, and then they do nothing and it's just gone, I think we'd all be saying, well, what have we just done with the last 3 years? And then all of a sudden, as they walk in, what happens? This man suddenly turns up. And as he's walking along, he's saying to him, well, what's happened? Why are you so miserable? Where are you going? And they're saying, well, who are you? Have you not heard what's happened in the last few days? This man told us that he was going to rise from the dead. This man told us that he was the Son of God. He was the Messiah. And you don't know anything about it. Well, where have you been? What have you been listening to? And then all of a sudden, they're moaning and groaning as they're walking. I think I'd be doing the same, I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be overjoyed about it. And then he starts to talk to them. And then he starts to share with them. And he starts to tell them of all the prophecies that were going on. That everything that had been said in the scriptures was actually true. And they were listening. And as they walked on, so they're walking and they're walking. And it says, just one point that I did pick up on, it said that this was about, again, and I don't know whether it was prominent or not, they said it was about 3 in the afternoon when he turned up to speak to them. That's what it said. Now, if they were walking 7 miles and it said they set off about midday, you can get an idea of just what was going on. So they're walking and walking and listening to him, and all of a sudden, they're starting to feel inside their hearts that this man's good. This man knows what he's talking about. This man is making us feel so much better. And as they approach Emmaus, they say to him, well, do you want to come and share supper with us? Are you going to come and have supper? And he says, well, I've got to go on. But he said, no. Will he come and have supper? And you all know the story. So they do. He goes and he sits with them, and then he breaks bread and disappears. And all of a sudden, they feel inside, wow. Can you imagine all of a sudden you suddenly get, whoa, this is the Son of God. This is the man. He disappeared. He went. But their hearts told them that he was alive. He had done what he said he was going to do. He's come back. He's here. Hallelujah. He's with us now in this room. He really is. As Christians, on our journey, it's not always going to be an easy journey we're on, and we might get disillusioned from time to time. I'm just talking stuff here I haven't written down. And you can imagine that. All of a sudden, your hearts are on fire. Wow! This is Jesus. This is the Christ. This is the one that died for me, and you, and you, and you, and everyone in this room this morning. And whatever we've been through so far on this journey, the journey ahead is still going to be fraught at times. And it's also going to be a good journey until the day we arrive at heaven's gate. And we're there. And we get there. It's an amazing thing. Did our hearts burn within us as he walked with us on the road and explained the scriptures to us? At supper, Jesus broke the bread and disappeared, and they knew it was him. That's in verse 32. You can pick that up if you want to go into that. Now, the brilliant thing about this is that what I see is that we're on a journey. The journey sometimes will not be the journey we think. I've got one or two little stories, one that might amuse you, and one they might think I'm crackers. But, I mean, first of all, you all know my story, the way I got disillusioned, the majority of you would do 2 years ago, where I was having a really bad time. Coming back to railways, and you think, oh no, here he goes again. But you see, on that train, when I got on, I was so disillusioned with Christ because he was not doing what I wanted him to do. And on that journey, this guy gets on the train, as you remember, this monk guy, who was an absolute pain to me because he came and sat, and we were the only people in the flipping carriage, and he had to come and sit next to me, which annoyed me immensely. But he did. But then he starts talking, and he tells me all about my life. Stuff that only God could have known. Stuff that nobody else would know about me. And as we went and as we headed towards Newcastle, I thought, wow, this guy is something special. How can he know all this stuff about me? I've never met this man. I've never seen this man. Jesus had turned up on my unexpected journey. He brought me back to faith. He gave me a new enlightenment, as he'd done to these two guys on the road to Emmaus. They dashed off then. They couldn't wait to get back to Jerusalem. They wanted to be amongst everybody. They wanted to be back. And they got there, and they'd already found out that Jesus had appeared elsewhere along the road. Not on this particular road, but in the garden and in various places. And that's how your heart feels when you have that encounter with Jesus. Yes. It's easy sometimes to get disillusioned because we're not getting along on the journey we feel that we want to be on. But when Jesus is there with us, no matter what the journey, no matter what's ahead, no matter what's in front, Jesus is with us. Over the last 2 years, I've realized more and more just what Jesus means to us in our lives and just what he's doing. He's still doing it now. This isn't stuff in here that means it's dead. It's not. This is the living word of God. And the more we get into this, the more we understand it, the better we're going to be. And the more we can see it. I have got a couple of silly stories just to back up on what was going on. Coming back to trains again, because I can't help it. Now, last year, and you'll get the point, Steph and I were going to Newcastle again. You can't believe where everything happens going to Newcastle, but it does. So off we go, and we get on the train, because we'd been up to Whitby, so we're going to Whitby all the way to my daughter's in Newcastle. And as we get towards Newcastle, the train starts messing about, and the brakes come on, they won't come off. So we're out there, and the train, eventually it gets going, so we're nearly an hour late. So we pull into Newcastle, and we were staying on this train, because it then goes out towards Carlisle, and my daughter's at the next station. So they suddenly pull up, this train terminates at Newcastle. Please go in the carriages at the back. I know railways, right? Sounds a bit clever cloggish, I know. But I know what trains do. And I know where they should be going. So we all jump in this back carriage, and we're sat there for a minute. And all of a sudden, the door's shut, the train's off, but it's not going in the direction that I think it should be going. It starts going back to where we're going. So Howard goes into panic mode. Steph sat there just quite happy. And I was saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? It's going the wrong way. It's going the wrong way. Last train of the day. We can't get out. We can't get out. Where's the communication cord? Well, that would have cost a bit, but I don't think they have them on trains anymore. But the point is that they knew what was they're doing. I didn't. Thought I did. So the train pulls out going the wrong way, but there's a curve. And it goes along and takes the curve and then gets on the right track of where we needed to be. So we end up at the right station. That is another unexpected journey. I know it's not saying, but what I'm saying, the people that run it knew where it was going. I didn't. In what we believe, Jesus always knows where we're going. There is no doubt about that. He knows where we're going. He knows what's in front of us. David, and I've got it a bit further along, said last week about the plans and what we should think. Are we doing the right thing? Another silly little one is that we're going to Newcastle again, but this time we're going in a car. So we're getting up. Steph hates motorway, so we have to have about an 8-hour trip to get up there. And so we're trundling up near Darlington, and all of a sudden it says, road closed. Oh no, what are we going to do? It's true, isn't it? Yeah. So I said, what on earth are we going to do? So there's no sign, it just says turn off that way. So we were wanting to go north, and the road's going off east. And we keep going east. We keep going east. We keep going east. We keep going east. And eventually we end up at the coast, about 30 miles away. So we have to turn up near Stockton, and it's way, way out. And then get back and come all the way back. It was a 60-mile detour before we got on the right road. Again, the point is, I was panicking, driving as well. Steph shouting instructions, the wrong ones, by the way. But we then turn up and get north at Darlington. So we're going the right way. And we end up at our daughter's at the right destination. Again, I know it's a daft analogy, but the analogy is that we didn't know where we were going. The detour knew where we were going. And Jesus always knows where we're going. Always knows where we're going. I could give you one more, but onto that one. But, I mean, again, guys, when we're driving the car sometimes, and the car breaks down and we're on the way, and I don't know whether it's just guys or women as well, what's the first thing we do? We go to the front, we pull the bonnet up, and we're looking at the engine. Has anybody any idea why we do it? Really? Don't we do it? Yeah? We're looking at the engine as though we're some sort of mechanical wonder people. I haven't a clue. The days of plugs and points for the younger ones, and at least probably doesn't mean a thing, but us older ones used to change plugs and points. Now they just stick a thing in. But the point is, you get out of trouble because you phone the AA, the RAC, Green Flag, or wherever you're in. And they come and they sort you out because that's their job. That's what they know, what they're there to do. Again, Jesus will guide us all the way through. I was touched, and I wasn't here a couple of weeks ago, and I hope Sharon doesn't mind me saying this, but she brought here, and she stood here, and told us of the plane that she got on as she was coming back, sat next to a lady that she probably didn't expect to sit next to. And then shared Jesus with this lady. That's amazing, and I'm lovely to see you here this morning, because that really touched my heart. I thought, that's another journey which you wouldn't have expected when you got on that plane. Am I right in thinking that? You didn't know you were going to talk to this lady. And I thought, wow, it's another journey that Jesus has took us on, has took you on. And then you've got a chance to share. It's an unexpected journey where we should be looking always. And the stories are not stories of what KJ and Steve told us about the miracles on their journeys that they saw. I thought, wow, this is amazing. This week, I was asked to go to a friend and a client of mine who's had a really bad accident. asked to go and pray. So I was there on Tuesday, and the thing came up, and she said to me, a wonderful lady, absolutely wonderful lady. She says, I know you're a Christian. We need a miracle. Will you pray? I said, yeah. And she also said to me, Howard, do you believe in miracles? I said, definitely, 100%. Jesus can do it. He's a miracle worker. There's a song somewhere in there, God making a miracle worker. Yeah? And she says, will he be healed? I said, I can't tell you whether he'll be healed, but yes, we can pray for a miracle. Miracles don't just happen in these foreign countries. I believe that miracles can happen here, today, here in Grimsby, in our church. Why not? Is there any reason why Jesus can't do miracles here in Grimsby, in our country? We don't see enough of it, in my opinion, and we need to see it. We need to believe it. The journey that we're on is Jesus is a miracle worker. These guys that gave up on the road, as I gave up at that time, he wouldn't let us go. And whatever you're going through here this morning, whatever the situation, whatever you've been through, wherever you're going, he will not let you go. Whatever your journey is, the unexpected journey that might be ahead, whatever that journey is, he will join you on the road. He will come with you. He will support you. He will love you. And if you don't know him this morning, don't turn down the opportunity of giving your life to Jesus, because he's the one that makes the difference to our lives. He's the one that guides us on the journey, the unexpected journeys, even our life's silly journeys, which I've been talking about. He's there with us even then. He's sitting on the motorway side with us to keep us safe when the car's broken down. He's on that train saying to Howard, don't be such an idiot, you're going the right way, but I'm directing it. And half that stuff, I don't know why I've told you, because I didn't have it written down. And as David said last week, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not disaster, according to the NLT. I like that. To give you a future and a hope. Psalm 23 says, as you know oh so well, and I love this as well, because it says, he lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths. So whatever path we're on, if we're on the wrong path, if we're going in the wrong direction, he'll guide us on the right path. Bringing honor to his name. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, and let's face it, guys, we've walked through some darkest valleys in our life. And there's no suggestion that sometime in our lives we're going to probably walk through them again. I will not be afraid. I will not be afraid. For you are close beside me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. It's an amazing, amazing psalm when you sit down and look at it. God is so precious to us. Jesus is amazing to us. No matter what we are, no matter what we're doing, no matter where we go, he's with us. So I say to you all this morning, for those that aren't sure what journey they're on, turn to Jesus. If you don't know him at all, turn to him. Talk about him. See him. Come and hear about him in September. You'll learn so much about him. Give your heart to him. Your life will never, ever be the same. It's not easy. And he didn't suggest it was going to be easy. But what he does tell us is that we're going to a destination. Whatever way we have to go, however unexpected it is, we're all going to end up at that wonderful place together. It really is good. I mean, there was an old song, I can't remember it now, something about, I've got a mansion just over the hillside. Can't remember the rest of it. Something like that. Yeah, is that right? It's an old one. One of the things that I do sometimes, I get very impatient. I can be impatient because I want things to happen now. I don't want to wait till next week or next month or next year. I want it to happen now. But God has that timing. Philip Wolfenden, who is Mark's late dad, was a great man for me. He taught me lots. And one thing that he always said to me, Howard, will you just sit down and listen? And when Philip said you sit down to listen, you did sit down and listen. And he always used to say, God is never late. And I wrote these words down because I've got them in my book. And he said, on our journey, he is always on time. I think that's profound. I really do think it's profound. So if you're sitting here this morning wondering, where am I going? How am I going to get there? Invite Jesus on the journey. Like in the case, the road to Emmaus, he didn't want those guys to miss it. So he turned up. He doesn't want us to miss it. Are you waiting for Jesus to turn up this morning? Don't wait, invite him. Let him go with you through this life. Because as daft as it seems, this life passes quite quickly. I think I've experienced that more in the last few years, thinking, where's it gone? I'm going to close now, if that's all right. I mean, I had other things to say, but I want to just finish with a few words. So I'll put that. Our journey through this life can throw up many unexpected happenings and things to send us off the tracks. But we can see that Jesus turns up. We are not alone. As the guys on the road to Emmaus were never alone because he was there. We don't always get the answer we want there and then, as I've just explained for an impatient person that wants the answer there and then. But Jesus will see us through. And my final closing scripture this morning is from my favorite from Paul in the Bible, picking up 1 Corinthians verse 11 to the end. When I was a child, I spoke and thought and reasoned as a child. But when I grew up, we're all growing up, even the younger ones in here, I put away childish things. Now, we see things imperfectly. And we do. Like puzzling reflections in a mirror. Frightens me when I look at the mirror sometimes, but there you go. But then we will see everything with perfect clarity. All that I know now is partial and incomplete. And it is. Everything we've spoken about this morning, this life. But then, on that day, when we arrive, I will know everything completely. What an eye-opening day that's going to be when we all arrive there. And don't forget, just as God now knows me completely, there are three things last forever. And this is important. Faith, we need that faith. We have that faith. We need to broaden that faith. Hope. We have the hope in the resurrection. We have the hope in Jesus. And most of all, love. We've got to have that love for one another. We've got to have that love for the ones that we don't like. We've got to have that love to help. We've got to have that love. Because if we've not got that love, why am I standing here? Why are we in this place this morning? We need to love one another. Thank you for being patient with me this morning. God bless.
just believe there are people here this morning who can relate with some of what Howard was saying, particularly that sense of being on a journey. And he alluded to a story he told before where he was on a railway carriage on his own. He was very much on his own. Maybe there's somebody here today who feels very much on their own. God's here. He wants to draw close to you so that you are no longer on your own. And we'd love to pray with you. We'd love to help you come to that place of acknowledging Jesus, realizing he's there for the journey of your life, and he wants to journey with you from this moment on. And all that stuff we've been singing this morning about our great God can be a reality in your life before you leave this place today. So don't miss the moment to come and chat to us. We've got a team over here to my left, your right. They'd love to just chat with you and pray with you. So we want everybody in this room to know what it is to have the God of gods, the Lord of lords, walking alongside them wherever they are, wherever you are in your journey today. You might be in a great place, but you might be in a challenging place. But having God alongside you makes all the difference. The psalmist said, look, he said, with my God, I can do all sorts. I can run through a troop of soldiers. I can jump over a wall. If there's a wall of opposition against me, I can do it all if God is with me. And that's the difference our God makes. Don't miss the moment. If you need to chat to somebody, please come. The Lord bless you. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, team, for working through the technical challenges this morning. Trust that has not taken anything away from what God has wanted to share with us today. The Lord bless you. Have a fantastic day. Please do stick around. We're serving tea and coffee up in the community hall, which is at the top of the car park. Please do stay around and have a chat.